No worries. Good morning. Good morning, Melissa and Anna and Jessica and Gwen. Oh my goodness, good to see everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Ashley, Jill Palisi, Stewart. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, kids. Well, listen, we'll jump in. Forgive the delay. Good morning, Andrew Serter. We're going to get to you, my friend, in a bit. Thanks for your hanging tight. Okay, so guess what, kids? You're at virtual breakfast. Big surprise. We see you every Wednesday. This is Get Your Professional Edge on Virtual Breakfast with Amy Cole. I am Amy Cole Connect, and we've met each other for many times, and then I see a lot of new Hollywood squares, and I love that. So thank you so much for all coming and being a part. What happens at virtual breakfast? Well, first, let me give you the 1-2 on me. I am an executive recruiter of 21 years. So last week, I quickly gave you what a recruiter is for those that don't know. Cindy Ray, you inspired me to share. Executive search is where companies call me and ask me to find you to fill a job that they have. It is their job to pay me to do that service for you. So please know that when we connect, that it is a place for me to represent you. Okay, and I won't get too far in the details because I did last week. But as a staffing person, it is up to me to encourage you to package yourself so that when I put you in front of that company, you are lickety split smart, on the pulse, relevant, and speaking the language they want to hear. Today we have like the nicest guy speaking on this call who has been in recruiting, and he is going to cut to the quick because that's how I am, and give you the shit shinola. What do you need to do to be competitive today in this market? That is why we're here. When we're talking get your professional edge on, we're talking get your professional edge on, right? All of us. I need to hear it as well. So welcome, Mom. Mom's got her coffee. Thank goodness Mom's got the coffee. All right. So yes, exactly. You know, as an executive recruiter, we also do career coaching. We have talked about this. This is a place where I find such joy and passion, is to help you, the executive, you, the professional, understand your value in the market. In addition, we do leadership and development speaking for companies that need to help encourage their teams. What do teams need today? It's so different out there. And Andrew's going to speak to that as well. It's remote. It's empowering people in new ways. So when they're hiring you to fit or not fit in this new hybrid work-life paradigm, home, office, and all that jazz. So as we share, virtual breakfast is informational. Always inspirational. If there's a place you come and you get a little bit of a kick on a Wednesday, I hope it's here. And I welcome you and I thank you for coming and taking part, because you inspire me beyond the truth. I can't tell you. Tears, you know how I get. So I won't get teary, but I do so adore everybody for the support and the lift, because this is definitely a unique time and we're getting through it all. We are a resource. That's the really important part too, as well as a network. This is a dynamic network. This is not a network that is passive. Every individual on here has written to me one day or another and said, I connected with X, Y, or Z. What a doll. I'm like, no kidding, right? We happen to be a lot of mission-driven people here. We are men and women that really love to see what's going on in the market, and therefore we're taking charge, which is important. We're a resource for each other. And we need to have communication. We need to talk about what's going on in the market in all of your different industries. So if you're a hiring manager on the call, or if you're an executive on the call, or if you're a small business on the call, we are all doing the same thing. And that's to interweave our knowledge and our resource to be better professionals, to be better hiring managers, to be better small business owners, to serve in new and different ways so that we continue to move forward, but elevating our own spirit and get excited about what the next moves are. So that's why I think this is one of those places. So if you're just new on virtual breakfast, you've come to have that place where you get to be authentic. There's no judgment. Okay. It's for all of us. It's accountability. It's empowerment. This is for you. If you are here and you're looking for a job, or if you're here and you're looking for work, not work, but small businesses, all that jazz, you are in the right place. What happens at virtual breakfast every week? We have an industry guest teach us what is going on in his or her world. The most important thing about that, and I do repeat this weekly, every industry right now is going through transformation, quick, rapid transformation. What does it mean to our industry that we've been a part of? Some of us have had 5 careers because of our differences, right? Let's say the new, and I don't want to say generation, but I'm going to be honest with you, 75% of the workforce will be millennials by 2025, and the average millennial stays at a job for 18 to 36 months. Amy, 55 years old, has been at jobs for 6, 8, now 21 years owning my own business. We're in that place. Okay, it's changing. The culture of the workforce is changing. So if you're going to flip jobs 18 to 36 months later, you need to be always constantly learning agile. Because as I told you, Harvard Business Review last week told me that now skill sets are becoming obsolete 18 to 24 months later. Why? Because technology is making us change. It's also why I'm very excited that Andrew's our speaker today. He's been involved in many great brands. Through technology, they are growing. And this is the conversation right now. And so if they see like I'm beating a dead horse every Wednesday, it's because that's where you and I need to be going. However we marry technology with our passion, food, beauty, health. You know, I staff all consumer packaged goods. So most of you sitting here are consumer packaged goods. It is this place where we need to open up our eyes. So this market intel is critical. With a whole new work-life paradigm, that's why you're sitting here. You're saying hello, community, empowerment, and to hear what's going on and how can we apply it. I can't, and I say this every week, it's too quick an hour to, platform you, everybody into their next millennium, next role with career advice, because this hour is filled with all different advice, but there is a place for you in our circle of coaching. So I don't have all day today, but I will give you as much as I can during this time, and then offer you a chance to partner with us in a different way, coaching wise. Okay. So we'll save that till the end. Let's get on to some of the nuggets. One of the things that I find really fascinating just about every day and every week is the learning, is our absolute learning curves, right? And it's so funny because last week we talked about being service driven. It was Holy Week and Passover, and many of us were celebrating and realizing new is coming, right? The newness is coming. And that is exciting, really exciting. And that's the same place we're in today. And we had a funny week. Okay, so two key, very high-level executives both got job offer stages, right? Ariba. Amen, people. So I was psyched. And these are big decisions. Nobody is making this decision in 2 seconds, okay? With these decisions come excitement, electricity, anxiety, right? But hey, wow, we got the offer. So you're thinking, oh, I need to take this. I need to take it. It's been a long time coming, right? Then it's the Holy Toledo moment, like, am I taking this? So both candidates, and I can't wait to hear Andrew's take on this in a minute, asked for more time to decide. Because there was this inkling that something wasn't right. This just wasn't, they needed to dig deeper. For whatever reason, they needed to dig deeper into the decision. Both companies did not allot them that extra time. So that stinks, right? You're being pushed, you're being pulled. And they just wanted to double check with themselves what would be right. Is this the career path for me? Great question. Is this salary sacrifice going to affect my family, right? One candidate spent $2,500 to fly to California to figure out if that location would be a fit for him to leave the East Coast. The job was of interest. The opportunity seemed right, but he needed to figure it out. What's the vibe out there? Is it really my fit, right? Was this the right move for me? So we all sit in places of question when these things happen. And then you call your trusted advisors, right? They both called me, so sweet, so great. I've coached them, they've been VIP clients, and, like, AIM, what's the answer? What should I do? So I'm helping them accordingly, right? These are career decisions. But my first question is always check your spirit, right? You know me. God's got a bigger plan for you than a place of unsureness, right? So what is that small, still voice asking you or telling you, right? And that's what I want to share today, because it happened to me in my own life, client wise, and I'll get into that in a second. We got to trust our guts, guys, right? Believe in ourselves and trust our gut and rest enough to listen to our own heart. Rest enough, right? Do your homework, do your due diligence, whatever your pros and cons list method is, right? Listen, these are big decisions. Divorcing, buying a home, taking a new job, relocating for an opportunity, taking on new clients, moving, right? These are altering, right? If we're stressed or harried or unclear, if we're making these decisions based on well, I should do this, my family will think I'm crazy if I don't take this job. It's been 18 months since I've worked. Or, oh my gosh, my friends are going to say, you're nuts. You should try that, But if you are being rushed or prodded or, and we've actually seen it happen within our group, you just feel pushed and people have said, okay, yes, you need to take a rest. They've said yes and regretted it. I should really finish that sentence. We need to rest and pull back, right? If you don't have a sign of pure, utter peace, check your pulse. Am I alive? There is a plan. There is a new client. There is a new role. And Andrew's going to share this too about he makes offers and sometimes it's not the right fit for that person. And it's probably a win-win for both the company and the person that it falls through, right? And I don't just mean sleeping rest, like let's take a nap. I mean from running. We're all running, right? We're all thriving. Striving. That's a quickie. That's a Freudian slip. We're thriving. We are thriving. That's the good news. But we're striving in some ways. We're groveling in some ways. We're scrapping right now because it's still not clear. It's probably not going to be clear for a really long time what the market needs, where the market's going, what company's going to be around in 2 years. 80,000 stores will be out of business, supposedly, according to Retail Drive yesterday, in the next 3 years. Malls will be empty. Okay, you could shrivel up and die on that one. We're all in consumer packaged goods. Holy Toledo. Like what? Right? So we don't know. But living in fear that nothing else is going to come isn't the way to go. Then we're making decisions based on fear, right? And that fear is a total dead end, guys. Faith has that future. Having faith in your future, right? It takes a bit. So last week, why I mentioned the two guys and me, sorry, I get crazy. I mentioned a potential client that didn't trust recruiters. Remember this guy? And then I built his trust over a month. He came back and was interested. And all of a sudden, now he wants to pay half my fee and doesn't want to pay for a calendar year. So Amy Cole does the job, puts the candidates in, but doesn't pay people for 12 months. Well, the guy has 7 jobs to fill. So of course I'm, going back and forth, but it doesn't feel right in my spirit. That's not right. That's disrespectful to the job I do, to the service I offer. And I told you that I'm service driven and I want to be that girl. And I am. And I'll serve to gain that trust. But I know that that's not the right thing for me. It doesn't feel good, right? That's not a partnership, right? So, it put me in a pickle. I asked for a couple of days to think about it, of course, because I can't just say yes to that. That just doesn't feel good. And both of my candidates thought long and hard about their decision, right? They both declined the offer, even though they've been looking for over a year, right? And some of you may say they're crazy. I'm going to tell you, I applaud them. I applaud the courage it takes to say, rest, to sit, to think, to make a decision based on inner peace, knowing what's better for you, right? I give them so much credit because it is a crapshoot right now. It's probably safer to be walking into a place and grabbing benefits, right? And who knows what's around the corner. But both of these guys, and they're very bright, articulate, wonderful assets to a business, any company, believe in their worth and have faith in their future. So what I liked about this, because you know how I journal and I was writing about myself, let your yes be yes and your no be no. It's a scripture that I happen to write all over the place all the time. It's just a great one to live by, right? In a lot of things, right? If you do not feel ease of God's calling in your life, take a look and believe in your yes and your no. If you don't have utter peace, right? Be aware that that's that sign. And we need to prioritize our inner peace. We need to say no if it means that will lead to better inner peace, right? In some cases, it means no to offers. It means no to new clients. It means no to hiring someone that kind of fits the job but doesn't. Actually, that's so funny. Yes, I have another organization that has said no to 2 candidates that they really love, but there's one little piece missing, so they're going to wait further. We have 79 people in that pipeline. That means we've screened a lot of people, but they have faith that we can find the one that really does feel right, and I have faith that we're going to find the one that really does feel right. It's hard to say no. They're in a pickle. They need this person to fill. They need this job, right? Sometimes saying no means saying no to family obligations. Have you guys ever said yes to things and then you resent it? Like the family always calls on you to do this, or your friends always call you to do this, and then you're a little bit honestly pissy about it, right? Same idea. You have to have inner peace in all of our aspects of our lives, right? We have to, yes, prioritize our inner peace. Inner peace and knowing that there is that calling, knowing that there is that job. And I do say this a lot because that's how I live. And don't get me wrong, I walk up the same hill you guys walk up all the time and get discouraged at 3 p.m, wake up in the morning, discouraged by noon, too bad call. Amy Cole, human like you. I'm the Hollywood Square, just like you, right? But it's yes to trusting in our place of inner peace, no to fear, right? Nothing else is coming. I fear nothing else is coming. Flick. Do the old flick. Yes to God's choices, right? Yes to the plan. Yes to what's next. So I think today I just want to say, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And I think I know that as I work through these kind of things, it liberates me and keeps me in a place of excitement to keep going. And so that is a really wonderful way to just take a little bit of a temperature of where you're at. If there's not that inner peace, after you've done due diligence, believe in it and just let your yes be yes and your no be no. All right. So that's the week of Amy Cole Connect. That's what's been going on. Today, as I said, Andrew Serta is just that guy that's got energy. What do I say? He's going to knock us over. He's darling and has tons of energy. I am going to find him in the Hollywood Squares and then make him big. Let's see. Oh, there you are, my darling. Perfect. Okay. If you can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hello. So Andrew, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, but I'm going to give a
Absolutely.
little 1, 2, 3, just a little. And I cheat with my notes.
Cool.
So last week, just let me share one thing. Last week, we had a guy from Salesforce on, darling, amazing, Stephen Carey. And he spoke a lot about, and we like both the personal and also the business piece about, he had his big deal go south and he was bummed because he's in sales. But he said, I'm going to be in that trusting place also. So that's really important. But his takeaway was acknowledging that everybody is doing new things and changing, because he's been with IBM and Salesforce. And let's face it, those guys are 180, right? They're the market leaders. Salesforce is the market leader in CRM. And you are a market leader in technology and brands. Mm-hmm. So Andrew was a former recruiter at Away Travel through their trajectory, through their explosive growth. And he's currently with a company called Attentive. And I want to ask, first introduction, but then I want to go into things like, do you think, is Attentive a tech firm or is it a fashion firm? Because you serve Coach and, CB2 and those kind of brands. So we got tons to talk about. But why I love Andrew's recruiting style as well is he's learning to help people fit into the new paradigm of what these brands have to do to succeed. So we're going to learn a lot today. So Andrew, thank you so much. You're a doll to show up, and welcome to Amy Connect Virtual Breakfast.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew. I have been recruiting for about 11 years. Have a few years of Smile and Dial inside sales experience prior to that. I started my career at Yelp.com, and this is when people were still getting Yellow Pages delivered, and we were trying to figure out how to bring that kind of local directory online. Consumer reviews aside, it was a wonderful experience to see how technology companies really disrupt an industry that might start to become a little bit antiquated. I've also worked for Foursquare. They invented the check-in that you can now do on Facebook and Yelp and all these other places. And as Amy mentioned, I did work for Away, the direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand in the travel space. And I was one of their first senior hires. And my hallmark is I work for companies that raise a lot of money from venture capitalists and need to grow up. And part of that is expanding the hiring profile, hiring more experienced and seasoned executives or leaders or managers, and also starting to build out new functions that are just super important for companies to compete when they do raise money and think about an exit like an IPO or an acquisition. I'm now with Attentive Mobile, and we do mobile messaging. And we can help brands send personalized, relevant, and targeted messages to their customers over text. And down the road, we don't just see that as a marketing product. We actually have integrations with numerous customer service products like Zendesk, one-on-one messaging for like Q&A or customer service. And then down the road, we might even, we are thinking, it's secret, transactions and payments. Like, how can we help our brand customers realize incremental revenue through text?
So can I just slow down for just a second? Because you're filled with a lot of content here. Listen, everybody's on Bed Bath & Beyond. They are the queens, unless I'm just the only one, of texting me once a week with 20% off. So I'm walking in there. It's already overpriced by 20%, so it's no real deal. But anyway, is that kind of the idea with, are you Attentive just the SaaS, the software that it works on?
So we'll use Sephora because they're one of our customers, and I love them as an example. But yes, so what we do is we can help the Sephora marketing campaign move some of their marketing strategies to mobile, and we do have a wonderful client strategy team that can help figure out, how do I build this message? How do I identify who I want to target? How can I make sure that it's it'll get great engagement, open rates, click-through rates? Actually, we can't measure open rates on text. That's
I was going to ask
email marketing days.
I didn't think not yet, but you will be. It's coming.
Yeah, but one of the great things is, like, how often do we leave an unread text in our messages, in our text, our messages app? Much more likely to open and read an unread text than an unread email. But to answer your question, yes, we're a SaaS product. So we partner with these brands, and not just big companies, like also small e-commerce and retail companies, and help them move their marketing to mobile. And we average 30% click-through rates and can drive 10x more revenue than an email marketing campaign alone. Wow. Those are A/B tests that we did with our customers, and that's great engagement for a brand. If we think about the market that we're in, stores were closed for a long period of time. Some stores are remaining closed. A lot of companies are shifting to e-commerce, digital, figuring out, how do I do that? How do I do that and be successful? And this is an entirely new channel, not just for marketing, but for driving revenue. And it is quite interesting. We also raised a lot of money, and so I'm helping spend that money by hiring folks more on the engineering team. But in my past roles, especially at Away, I hired in places like e-commerce, brand, operations, and marketing.
Okay. So a couple of things that I want to ask you. What would you say is different today? Okay. So, I mean, you've been recruiting you're a recruiter. I know you said you were in sales for a minute, but you're a people person. Mm-hmm. And let me ask you that, is that the passion for the recruiting piece, or do you like seeing the business grow more than the people piece? Like, what would you say without, there's no judgment here. Yeah. We always say that. We're not going to go away and say, "Oh, that guy is cold-hearted."
Right? No. Who doesn't love working with people in this room? And there may be a few of us at times we don't like people, but that working with our coworkers, having social interactions is a huge motivator for recruiters often. And we have to learn how to not be extremely emotionally connected with our candidates because not everyone gets the offer. But definitely when we do get to that offer stage, we have that added benefit of, hey, if we can make this happen, we know it's a big life event, but we can do something really fabulous together. And I'm recruiters are typically very in the aware of how important and how impactful hiring can be for product, for revenue, for your business strategy. And at the end of the day, when we close an offer, we get the satisfaction of knowing that we helped a company potentially hit a target or a goal down the road with that new addition.
And what about what I just talked about? Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Are there times when you have got to say no to a great candidate, but because there's just maybe they don't have one darn thing?
Yeah. Brian Gill, yes, we just started working with nonprofits is one of our categories. I don't know the details. I apologize. And then Amy, to answer your question, yeah, we've seen some interesting things. My initial response is we're entering a buyer's market. So, as a candidate, hopefully you're starting to feel that companies are opening up hiring again. It's, your companies are more responsive. You might actually be hearing back from applications, and because companies can hire recruiters again, recruiters can get back to work. And you might have a sensation that there's other offers out there. But at the same time, companies, including, and recruiters like myself, are coming out of a time when it was easier to get a yes because there wasn't as much hiring. It was more competitive for candidates to get a phone call, to go through the interview process. So we're in a little bit of a transition where companies might expect short turnover or turnaround time rather, and candidates might want a little more time. I think this is where honesty comes in. I'm bummed I missed last week, but I think one of the things that I appreciate is that I grew up in a household where you just be tactful and telling the truth. And I understand it's a big life decision. So usually I can go to bat for the candidate and try to buy a little extra time. Executive hiring might be tough. You might be working with the CEO, small businesses.
One of these guys was working with the CEO and he had none of it. He offered a couple more $1,000 right on a phone call. And then it was, you have till Monday, no stretch. Yeah.
And maybe money wasn't the driver there. Like maybe you have an offer and money's not the thing that you're thinking about. Maybe it is relocating with a family. Maybe you don't know if you built a good connection with the person who's going to be your boss. And that's where I say, like, find a way to kind of address that. What is it? Is it, I don't know. I don't know if I can move my family and make this decision right now. I'm really interested, but I need, my partner and I, my wife and I, we want like 2 more days to decide. I need to look at schools, or I didn't get enough FaceTime with the person I'm going to report to. And because everything's over Zoom, can I just have a 45 more minute conversation to just gut check and expectation set before accepting? Yeah.
So you respect that honesty, because I do share that with candidates. Listen, be upfront. I'd rather have you be, and we'll get to that question in a minute. I do remind men and women in the interview process to be human. I also say this, Andrew, sorry, and you can even answer this. Sometimes there are men and women that really do not interview well. It's nervousness. They're amazing with Amy Cole. I'm the recruiter. They can be them with me. And then they get in there and they're a little clammy. Let's use the word clammy. And I say, often you can say to somebody, listen, interviewing gets me a little nervous, but I'm excited to be here. Just to remind you on the interviewer side that, hey, this is nerve-wracking for men and women to come to the table. I haven't interviewed for 15 years. I'm excited to be here, but just let me, would you look at that as that's an okay thing to share?
Yeah, I usually crack a joke. It's, it's okay to not have interviewed for 10 years. I interview every day and I still get a little nervous. Right. I think a follow-up note over email is another great place to illustrate your confidence in certain conversations. I usually like to say goodbye to candidates over Zoom because it is such an impersonal experience. So we usually like to sign in, ask how it went, see if they have any additional questions they couldn't ask the team. You might not have that experience.
Oh, so, you as the in-house recruiter follow up after they've met. Oh, that's so nice. Not a lot of people do that, Andrew. You're amazing.
Yeah. And I work to hire software engineers now, which is, one of the trickiest things right now. That's where one of the largest skill gaps is, in my opinion, in the US, is that a lot of companies want to go digital. A lot of companies are trying to kind of move forward into different technology areas, and software engineers are difficult to hire. So building that rapport over Zoom, it involves a
Yes.
lot of touch points like this. But maybe you don't get to, and that's okay. Be proactive. We don't see postcards or thank you notes anymore. And I used to keep a big stack of them at my desk because I thought they were so, people put time in them. But now it's an email, and just saying, hey, it was great to meet these three people. Really enjoyed my conversation with Barbara, but with Barry, I didn't necessarily feel, I did the best.
Yeah.
And and
Well,
thanks to Barbara and Barry for letting me use their names because they're at the top of my screen right now.
That's my mom and my husband. You pick good people.
Oh, is that right?
There you go. You did well. So here's the interesting thing. And you and I are getting to know each other, but I have a very high standard with my candidate pool. This is what I tell them. You expect an email in 24 hours because it's digital and it should happen. And I expect a written note out in a year. And if you tell me it's old school, Fui on Yui, because VPs, CEOs, senior management, directors write to me and say, I received a nice note from Abigail. That actually is, yes, it's yesterday's Kate, whatever, Emily Post news, but it isn't. It says that or you show more interest in Schumacher. I have designed my home and these skills I think would be applicable to your world. And thank you again for your time. So you do keep that list. I do too. I keep the one. I have a pile of everyone that's over the 21 years that's written. It's so, guys, we are human people getting human jobs. Let me look at every person in these squares. That is what we are doing. Because as Andrew said, once you're on that staff, you're a part of that family. We're woven. We're eating pasta together. Sorry, we're breaking bread. We got stuff to do. We got to build out this project. We've got to win this new client, right? And what does that take? Arm in arm. Let's do this, right? Right? Let's get this done. So I don't know if you guys watched the Final Four, but there was a lot of getting it done in the Final Four with UCLA and Zaga. And then who won the final? Now I forget. Lisa Cole. Oh, I can't hear her. Anyway. So you get it, though. You have to work as a team, and you are joining teams when you are interviewing, and you are joining teams. You're not just a one-off and going to fill a Band-Aid hole. Companies are looking at their overall org chart. You are a woven part of their fabric, and so every little thing does make a difference. Baylor, thank you, Lisa Cole. Okay, so a couple other questions, Andrew, I thought might be fun for us. We know skill set is critical, and we know you're looking at engineers, but open up your mind a little bit to other things. Many people on the call, consumer goods, are logistics and supply chain, product people, design people, project management, from away. You got to make the product, to produce the product, channel distribution, the product, and all that, and marketing the product. But what would you say is as inside recruiter, are you looking? You're looking more to fill the skill? You're looking more to fill the soft skill that's transferable, or both? Or how do you play it?
Yeah, that's a good question. At Away, I worked with teams that were we were doing category expansion. So you might know Away for their luggage. When I joined, I started to hire folks in product design, who were thinking about handbags, accessories, clothing. How do we think about categories that are, interesting for traveling and, would fit well with your luggage set. And I think, for that
thing took off. I got to say that my niece and nephew asked on Amy for a $220 roller bag. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Thank goodness for discounts, because it is, they market themselves as a little bit more on the high end, but not necessarily as expensive as branding. Yeah. So
that's the branding. Yeah, it's okay.
So this was a newer, these are newer teams. This is, how do you get a product from 0 to 1? And then, how do you, how do you build, the process for these new products from the ground up? I actually had a co-recruiter who did more of the supply chain operations. It looked hard. It looked tough. They met with a lot of people, and I think there are certain roles where skills are so important, but adaptability is also important, because these companies are going to try new software. They're going to try new vendors. They're going to try, they're going to do whatever they can, implement an ERP, to really move fast and, decrease expenses and increase profits. And, I think having that adaptability is important. But at the same time, this is where experience sometimes comes into play. Often the folks that we were hiring onto these teams had more experience than the typical hire, which was, for younger upstarts, millennials. And I love it. I love to see that. I love companies that start to hire experience, because that means the people that I hired earlier get a little bit more mentorship.
Me too.
And yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, did I answer your question? I lost track of my head.
Well, you did a good job. I mean, you need the skill, and then there's the soft skill piece depending on the role. I mean, I don't know what would you say now that you and I are hybrid, right? So let's talk attentive. You're a SaaS company. Are you a hybrid, or people sitting in an office somewhere? Where are you located?
Yeah, that's good. So, and might be a good time to also start to answer Arash's questions as a tad. So, historically, my current company was based in New York, but on paper, we're based in New Jersey. We closed up our offices, like a lot of companies, canceled our lease in New York City. It's expensive to have empty real estate here, and we went remote 100%. We've actually tripled the size of the company since going remote. So all of our hiring, all of our onboarding done over Zoom and other tools. I myself interviewed, hired, and have been working 100% remote, never met any of my coworkers. And the plan is, for us at least, is we now have employees in over 30 states. So, our employees should be able to work from anywhere. Most people will work from home. We'll help our employees get set up with a home office, modest desk, chair, monitor, anything else they might be looking for. Yeah. And then instead of an in-office admin team, we didn't want to let those beautiful people go. So we turned them into an online culture building and digital events team. When you have 300 people joining, remotely with 300 people who already know each other, these digital events are important to kind of cross-pollinate and get people to know each other. And we'll continue to hire remotely. We'll also open offices in New York, San Francisco, a few other major metro areas. Maybe we work in places like Atlanta, Denver, Miami, Austin. But then, staying home and working remotely, or having a hybrid model. We'll have floating desks in all offices, so people can work from office, work from home, partial work weeks. Yeah.
So one quickie, and then your personal. Let me ask this. What do you think right now? Let's go here for fun. This is a new job for you the past 10 months?
Yeah.
Were you recruited out? Did you find it on LinkedIn, and were you actively looking?
Yeah. So my role at Away was impacted by COVID. So I was part of we did multiple rounds of layoffs. Companies in the travel space had to save every dollar. Companies in a lot of spaces are furloughing and laying off. I ended up seeing a job posting, went to the company page on LinkedIn to see if I knew any coworkers or like connections. I knew 2 people there. I emailed both of them immediately. One of them I had worked almost for as a recruiter. I'd hired interns for him, and he was the CTO. He forwarded his resume to the executive on the HR team, and that person called me, and I interviewed with a few folks. And yeah.
Here you are. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. All right. So then what do you feel is the number one quality that, I know it's kind of a cheesy one, but that has led throughout all of your roles? I mean, you have been I didn't know you were with Yelp. Is that something I missed?
That was 2008 to 2011. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So what do you think, you've been in different organizations. Is it tenacity? Is it creativity? Is it courage? Is it just, let me acknowledge you. And I know you know this, so I'm not being cheesy. You have just a genuine, easy, beautiful way about you as a human person. No, you do. And I have that in my notes when I called you years ago. And that's a piece of, I find that to be very, very engaging, and people want to hire that. But so take that away. You can't use that one. What else other than being, no, you're really a good, you can feel it. It's what you do. It's who you are, which is beautiful. It's a piece of your brand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there one thing? I don't know. It's hard to say, that almost as a recruiter, you start to parrot the personalities of the company culture. You start to get to know your hiring managers and understand who are they and what makes a successful person for them. And you also hear a little bit about their woes. I'm working with a hiring manager at Away. I've worked with a hiring manager who was having difficulty with performance on their team, and wanted to really find someone who they did a stronger job of making sure that they're going to be the right people to take feedback and grow with it. So it could change my role, but I think one of the things that that I can suss out is like, does this person even want to be talking to me right now? Because if they don't want to talk to me, the recruiter, are they going to want to talk to the team?
So you want to feel passion from them.
Yes, yes, exactly. And you don't have to be, some people are nervous and they show their passion through illustrating their experience or their technical experience, or through really solid communication and follow-up. Kind of showing me that like, hey, wow, I got a personalized email from this person a lot, but maybe they were really nervous on the call, so maybe they're just not, strong on the Zoom or interview setting. Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. Well, listen, thank you very much for sharing. We're going to start to say hello to some of the people that are in our group, and I'm going, but sincerely, thank you so much for this. This is amazing. And it's been very insightful on all the different things that people are, looking for out there, and how to best present to you and how to engage you. And I love the thank you and the follow-up piece, silly as it is. We all know this, but are we really being active? And are you following up 6 months later? Also, guys, you don't get a role, but 6 months later, is there a reason just to say hello, not to be pesty, not to torture? I call that professional persistence. And I call that, in a way that is classy and sophisticated, you offer resource through which to keep your love alive with a corporation or an Andrew or someone, so that at a point in time when there may be another role that could be there, you may be considered. Timing is everything. Timing is a big part of hiring. Timing is a big part when teams need people. So I know that seems like it's the obvious, but don't ever, as we just talked, let your no be no and your yes be yes, and be consistent in what you do want to, move forward and shake with. So I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, kids, listen, I mentioned to you that we would talk a little bit about how we can start coaching or work together with you. As you listen to Andrew and you see some of the pieces of the pie that he needs filled, he's going to he didn't say these words, so I won't put them in his mouth, but you have to be articulating who you are and what you bring to the table and how you're going to move the business forward. He did say to us, I'm hiring Amy because we've got a directive, an initiative at the company's level that we need to fill. And my role as the recruiter is to find the man, woman who is going to move that needle. So if you are feeling right now that you are interviewing or applying to a black hole, and we haven't yet figured out why you are going to be an asset or a huge benefit to that corporation, I recommend that you give me a holler. Let's work together. Let's figure out a way to brand you so that you are relevant, so that you share your skill sets in a succinct way, and so that you can articulate why you're excited for that role. He said enthusiasm matters, what you can do for that company, and how you are going to make that difference. I welcome the chance to work with you in that way. So take that, and Lisa will put a little link in the thing for the chat. I want to ask a few people to say hello and see what's happening. I see Daniel Hagee's writing up a storm. Mr. Daniel Hagee, what's happening in your world? Oh, hold on. Okay, continue. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Okay. Name, industry, and
okay.
Name, industry, and title. Sorry. Name, title, okay. Industry.
My name is Daniel Hagee. The industry I was in was selling high-end men's French shoes on Madison Avenue. So sales associate. And that closed in COVID at the beginning last year. So I'm reinventing myself, and currently I am selling t-shirts and hoodies at the Chelsea Flea Market on Sundays after church online. I've also started taking a brand strategy course to offer a different skill set as being a creative, because I also do graphic design and photography on the side. So now I'm adding more tools in my arsenal to be able to go in and help people elevate their brands. And that's what's going on with me.
Well, I'm going to compliment and applaud you as well, because Daniel Hagee was written up in the New York Times for being one of the best men's shoe salesmen. It's a funny word. I don't know. It's kind of funny and dated in some ways to use the word salesman, shoe salesman, but this is not a shoe salesman. This is the man that built a brand, built his own personal brand, and went from Stuart Weitzman. You've been with a lot of different very high-end store companies and have elevated yourself within that career. That retail career is a huge career. Now, isn't it interesting how it's shifted now, Daniel, because so much is direct to consumer?
Yes. I wasn't exactly sure whether I wanted to jump back into sales. and the creative side of me has been trying to bust loose for a long time. So
Yeah.
I just kind of started trusting in my faith and asking God to open doors for me. And I just 2 days ago installed my second solo photography exhibit at a hair salon on the Lower East Side. So
Fantastic.
things
Okay,
are
so
moving.
we're moving forward. Well, great to see you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for saying hello, and thank you for always being so supportive and applauding everything that we're up to.
Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you. All right, my doll. So who else is in here? Let me take a look. I got to look at all the sides. I don't look at everybody. Gwen Miller, how are you? Whoops. Hi, Gwen. Tell
There
us
we
your
go.
name, title, and industry. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Nice to see you too. My name is Gwen Miller Seto, and I am in the fashion industry. And I'm taking a slight departure. So recently I finished my website. I have my first client. And well, I shouldn't say first client, but essentially my pivot has been doing more of the editorial styling as well as doing personal consulting as far as like image consulting goes. So yeah, I've been working on that. But I really appreciated today's message, honestly, because 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine reached out to me about a concept designer position at a like luxury brand. And my first thought was like, no, like that's not what I should be doing. Although like I could probably use the money at this point. And instead I recommended somebody else for the position. And then I was kind of kicking myself for it. And anyway, long story short, the interviews went well for her. And I really think that it was not meant for me. And I'm really glad that I did say no and I recommended this other person. But the other thing that I'm looking for is design consulting projects, but I am more senior. So my experience doesn't lie necessarily in like CAD work. Like I don't really know Photoshop or Illustrator that well. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit too old for that to have been part of my curriculum. And so, yeah, so
Okay.
I'm just kind of,
Well,
yeah.
and listen, I applaud you as I applaud the two men that made these tough decisions, and I applaud myself for saying I didn't need to take this client. 7 jobs I can fill, but not at a situation where I'm going to be a resentful person or not be the person that serves with this bubble. I can't wait to find you. You got to be you. So in this, I want to share 2 things, okay, that you brought up because it comes up in conversation with me all the time. Photoshop and Illustrator. For everybody out there that is saying I'm too old or this is something that I didn't grow up with, which is the best way to put it, Gwen Miller, you just hit the nail on the head. When you are exposing that in an interview, it is not native to me, but I understand the way it works. Because unfortunately, I am getting people asking me, make sure they can at least touch and feel this. Okay. You may have a CAD team to support you, but sometimes in the beginning, you're not going to have a CAD team to support you. Yes, I was just going to say, Daniel's, saying check out byol.com. I was going to say there are a great many places that are offering, Udemy, you guys, is I forget who the speaker was that shared Udemy with us. I want to give him credit, but it doesn't matter right this minute. Udemy, Coursera, Coursera, right? Coursera, Cousera. These are places that are offering for nominal amounts of money or no money to get your hands just to touch and feel. I had a woman who didn't know 3D and pattern making. She said, give me 3 days and all I'm going to do is pattern make on this software program for 3 days. It was a trial from Clo3. It made the difference that the company felt she gave it her all. They decided they would train her. So it's this fine line. It's like what Andrew said, be honest, but at the same time, don't discount your ability to attain that skill.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I guess where my sort of, I don't want to call it a struggle, but I don't even want to put it out there that I might know some of the knowledge because I don't want to do that. Like
you don't want to do that in the role.
I don't want to do that. It's not my skill set. It's also not something like I've always had teams that have done that.
Yes, yes.
So it's basically that's not what you should be paying me for.
Okay. And you know
It's
what?
kind
And
of,
there, and that's your yes be yes and your no be no. So that's
yeah,
exactly where you feel in your, so then I applaud that as well. So I'm just, yeah, I mean, I'm speaking to everybody, right? There's somebody
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
call needs to hear about Coursera, Coursera or Udemy, because
Absolutely,
you're all over the
absolutely.
place. Now I'm learning every day. I think I've told you guys very openly that we now need new marketing skills. I need to find new Andrews out there that will use me as the recruiter. Who are these attentive companies that maybe are not on my radar every day, but I am an asset to them. They don't have the hours in the day to outsource and recruit. We 40 hours a week call and use a network to find people. So anyway, I'm with you. That's a new skill for me, is to use marketing tools that send out email sequences. I feel they're a little cold hearted, but guess what? My calendar gets filled with conversations. Then I can be Amy. So there are new things that you'll need to learn, but yes, that's not where you need to be right now, is that dirty down Photoshop, Illustrator, CAD stuff. You're right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It just also because I am pivoting slightly and
Yeah.
I'm offering design consulting services. Like I don't want that to be part of what are the services that I offer, because I am still doing these other things. It's not
Absolutely.
like
Good for
my
you.
free time is,
Yeah, good for you.
it's,
All
yeah.
right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
I do want
you.
to, yeah, of course, thank you for coming. Good to see you. All right, I see Jill Polisi in our mix, but I don't know where she went. Hold on one second. Jill Polisi, did you maybe no longer? That's all good in the hood. We understand. Everybody can't be here. Okay. Cindy Ray. Yeah, look at you, get nervous. How could you get nervous? What's that all about?
Hi,
Hello, young lady. Your name, your title, and your industry?
my name is Cindy Ray. I'm the president and owner of C. Ray and Associates, and we specialize in large-scale corporate events and weddings. And I pivoted and started a new division of my company called C. Ray's Thought Pops, emoji sticks with a positive vibe.
I like the emoji sticks. Because of technical difficulties, I'm in the bedroom, so I don't have my emoji stick right next to me, which is in the desk area out in the living room. But Lisa Cole says, stay strong.
Yay!
That's it. There you go. Amy Cole Connect. That's right. That's right. So Cindy Ray, what would you say right now? I love seeing those. Aren't they fun, Andrew? They're genius. They're really, actually, you two need to talk. That should be an attentive gift for every one of your employees at the next fun meeting. Cindy Ray, if you said to me, what is unique about your business or what's a challenge today, what would it be?
You know, it's interesting. I do a lot of non-for-profit work as well. And I was talking to the CEO of a large non-for-profit here. And she said to me yesterday that they're putting on a wall, they're remodeling, and they're putting on a wall, making more possible when it all seemed impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so brilliant. That's what's happening now, making more possible when it all seemed impossible. And so that's been the pivot and that's been the shift. I'm in Texas, so we're wide open, 100% open, and you can start to feel the buzz.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fascinating. You know, everybody talked about pivot when we went into lockdown. I think there's another pivot coming, truly, of how do we move now, what the push and pull between virtual and being out in public and making business happen in person. So I find that fascinating. And I think that there's a big shift going on, and it's going to be a push and pull for people. It is a little bit for me too. You know, how do you stay connected to virtual when you're out in the world taking care of business too? So I think there's another pivot coming.
Well, I'm going to tell you, and I love it, and we're going to close up shop, but I believe it's the hybrid. I couldn't agree more. I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a meeting in person, but there's going to be this element of online. It's going to duplicate. It's going to increase your attendees in many, many ways. And yes, there is going to be we are in a pivot of sorts too as well. Andrew's trying to now, navigate that 300 people, he says, in 30 states. I mean, come on, having employees in 30 states as an HR department is a whole new way to live, right? So we're still in it, but yeah, we're going to see. And we're going to see the differences also, I think, by state, because we're not open at all. We're 33% in restaurants in New York and things like that, although we're getting vaccinated at age 16 today, which is great. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for coming. Cindy Ray, I adore seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Yes. It's always fabulous.
Thank you. Andrew Serta, you're amazing. Thank you again for all of your joy and your positive. Everybody, happy Wednesday. We'll see you next Wednesday at Virtual Breakfast, and we will talk then. Have a great week. If there's anybody you need anything, you know who to call. We'll talk to you later. Have fun.